Oh my goodness, I have my good friend Caylee on, and we're chatting today after not having had a chance to connect in like a year. So I'm so happy to see your face.
Yeah, I'm doing well, and I think this is a really nice, sneaky way for us to chat.
There you go. It's given us a
Just like
chance
a
to
podcast.
finally reconnect and catch up with all of the crazy things that we've been up to. And you're in a new studio, which I am going to just confess right now, I'm completely jealous of. This is big, gorgeous office with enough space to do everything you need to do to run a business.
Yeah, lots and lots of space, and there's a chair for you.
Okay, I will come
I've got
visit.
spare desks and spare chairs.
I want to come in the winter time when all of the Christmas markets are up, though.
Oh, it's good. Germany's good, and yeah, Christmas time is where
I
it
love
where it's at.
I love it. I did get a chance to visit Germany when I lived in Belgium, and I just was always felt home there compared to the rest of Europe because there's a lot of like culturally similar ways that Germans are to Americans. Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's how you could say it. I
Yeah,
loved it. And plus it's gorgeous land. So
yeah. Well, you've got a house to stay at when you come
thank
here.
you. Well, why don't you just tell me a little bit, like, because I kind of know the story, but you're from South Africa and you ended up
Yes.
in Germany. And I'd love for the listeners to hear how this transformation happened, like how you ended up here and then how you started this fabulous online art business that everybody just loves and adores.
Well, we were in South Africa, and my husband's an engineer, and he got invited to come to Germany for training. So we did that in 2013. And in 2013, it was literally illegal for me to work. And so we kind of made the joke that I was retired. I think I was 25 then. Yeah. Oh, I was retired at 25. And I thought I would fill my days with all the things that I ever wanted to do. And, I'd have time, I'd finally have time for them. And I very quickly realized I had no interests at all. There was nothing that I could fill my days with. And so I got to thinking, and I was like, well, I've always really wanted to try art. I always wanted to just have a little bit of creativity. But the problem was that I was not actively creating at all, just no creating. I'd never thought of myself as creative. I wasn't raised in a family that was creative. My mom's a professor, my dad's a builder, like very logical, normal, not normal, but logical, uncreative people. Yeah, so we got to Germany with that. We went back to South Africa. In that year, I started dabbling in Project Life. I know we've both got a
Oh, yeah.
common thread with that kind of creating. And that was my very low pressure way of being artistic. It's through the very regimented form of Project Life. There are a lot of
Was
uh,
Project Life Ali Edwards? Who did
Becky
Becky
Higgins. So she's
Higgins?
not
Yeah,
around as much. She was
she's
very
not.
big then.
But Ali Edwards was on the podcast just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I love her.
I know.
She's
So it's that
super.
whole world that we were really connected with.
Yeah, definitely. And I think scrapbooking and Project Life and memory keeping in general is such a low pressure way to enter into creativity until you start putting all types of pressure on yourself. But
Right.
that was my entry. Then we went back to South Africa, and I didn't have any. It was much more difficult to get art supplies when you don't have Amazon, when you don't have art stores around, when you don't have the European producers, suppliers. In South Africa, we're very far away, and there was very limited art supplies and definitely limited scrapbooking supplies. And so I became a bit more creative with the supplies that I was using, and very gently I started adding art supplies and a bit of paint here and there and a bit of collage, all very softly. And it was while we were in South Africa that a friend and I decided we want to be accountable to making art. So my business story and my creative story is so intertwined. Like it's very difficult for me to separate the two, and I think it gives it a nice little romance in my head. But a friend of mine and I decided, we want to be artists, but step one to being artists is actually make art. And we decided to
Make note,
share.
everyone. The step one, make art.
We decided to be accountable to sharing, I think it was 2 pages in the art journal every week on our blogs. Very low stakes. Art journaling in general is a very low pressure form of creating. It was just perfect for me at that time. We shared it on the blog, and the first time we shared, someone said, oh, can I join in? I want to do this challenge too. And so we said, yeah, okay, do that. And eventually it ended up being, I think it was 50 people when we capped it, that we were doing a blog hop. We decided, you know what, maybe we need a special place for this. And we're just going to create, we called it a private blog. It was on Blogspot, which is ridiculous. And I figured out, I think it was eJunkie. It was the most ridiculous setup. I was really just diving head first, not knowing what I'm doing, figuring it out along the way. And we charged for lifetime access to anything that we'd create in the future. Well, not anything, but anything in Get Messy. And then 500 people joined. And so we're like, oh, something's here, you know.
What year was that when you did that first?
2014.
2014. So guess Get Messy's like 1 year away from its 10-year anniversary.
I know.
Oh,
I'm already
wow.
planning. I'm already planning.
Well, I want to hear the Get Messy, how you came. Do you just like, it felt instinctive to come up with that name? Because I love the name and I love the motto behind it. It makes so much sense for artists or even non-artists to want to get involved.
The name is kind of like a battle cry because I am not a naturally messy person. And I think it could be because of my very logical upbringing, or I was very focused on maths and science, and those were my subjects at school. I did economics at university, you know, very logical person. And I've always had tactile and mental problems with paint or like getting messy. And so it was a very much a challenge just in the name itself, is getting messy, letting go. I don't want to do any of that, you know, naturally. It's not something that I naturally do, but I know that that's where the magic is. And I know that when I let go, and when like the painting behind you, when you get messy and when you access that more intuitive side of yourself, there's so much magic and beauty there.
Right. Yeah, that getting over the perfectionism or trying to control how it's going to go. So it's almost like the name of the business itself was a mantra to yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's also been helpful, you know, not only with art, but in business too. If I make a mistake, well, not if I make a mistake, when I make the mistakes in business on a daily basis, it's fun. You know, I remind myself that I'm lucky enough to have a creative business, and creative people, probably because they're making art, they're much more mentally stable, and so they tend to be kinder when you make mistakes. It worked out.
Yes, I agree. I've actually found the community overall is quite a beautiful community, kind people, and I've rarely come across any friction, to say the least. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen, but it's just really so nice to know that, you know, the horror stories I hear in other businesses, I don't find to be a challenge within the art community. And I love too, you've set the expectations that there aren't expectations, is that we're going to just enjoy the process. So you started you kind of like jury rigged together a site to make it work and figured it out, because this was kind of before everything was really easy. Now we have Kajabi and Teachable and everything, like you can just open up and have that paywall and have it all organized, and it's all so like a million times easier to start an online business. Squarespace and everything. My first website was also Blogspot. And I figured out, I'm like, I don't have to make it just a blog. There are tabs and I can put my art here and I can put a PayPal button and everything. Like, so I used Blogspot as well as a way to like try to just get online at the lowest price point possible, you know, and with what was, I mean, that was in 2012, 2010, probably, that I did that. So yeah, I mean, we didn't have so many amazing, easy, simple options like we do now. Well, you just got it going.
Yeah, exactly. I think when people ask for business advice, they always want to ask, what's the best platform to be on? What's the best this? And it really doesn't matter, because you'll figure it out. Even if you choose the worst option, you'll figure it out, and you can change whenever you feel like it. It's going to be extra work, but it'll be fun and you'll learn something.
Yeah, and there isn't one perfect platform for everyone, because I know people who pick one and I'm like, that doesn't click for me the way it's set up or what I want it to do, because every business has different objectives within the creative realm. Whether, I mean, if you're selling product, you need a different platform than if you're selling courses, and there's just, if you want a membership versus, you know, how tech are you, like, so yeah, I agree. people always ask about the tech first when they don't realize that there's so many other things that are so important about building the business. Like, where's the heart and soul of the business? What's your
Yeah.
objective? Who are you going to serve? How are you going to show up? How are you going to connect people? Have you figured that part out? Because then the rest of it, you can, whatever happens, happens. Just get your iPhone and start recording. Who cares? But it's the heart of it that people always forget. And when I get questions from artists like, how do I do this? How do I do that? I'm like, where's your start place? Like, what's the more important part? So I love that you call your master business plan a romantic story, because it wasn't the plan. You fell into it. But I know that you've made it a beautiful business, and I know you're good at planning, and that you actually have vision for it, and you've been able to grow it. And I'm very jealous of your 1 week away every fall so that you can plan the next year. I have always planned, but I've never taken a week away until last year. At the end of the year, I did take a week away to do it. And I'm like, so doing it the Caylee Gray method from now on.
Where did you go?
Well, I went with a group down to Florida, and then I stayed extra time for planning. And it was a planning retreat. So it was nice because in December, Florida is cooler temperatures. And because I don't like it hot. So it was like just perfect for me. I'm like, okay, I can do Florida in the winter time, but that's it. But it was really nice to get away and then just map out the entire plan. Eventually you figured out WordPress and created your own site, and then continued to grow Get Messy.
You want to hear about it?
I want to know how you figured it all out for yourself. And I actually would love for you to talk about when that switch happened in your head, that this is more than just a nice thing to do, a fun thing to do, or a little side thing. When did it switch to you like, this is a legitimate business and I'm ready to go full force? And I know that there were bumps in the road along the way of making that decision too.
Yes. I think it's been a repeated thing where I've gone, oh, this is something. The first time happened when we opened it up. We didn't know if even one person would give us money, and then 500 people did. And we were like, oh, cool. That was the first time. Then when it replaced my income, but that was pretty early on because I was in South Africa and exchange rates are fantastic. Then when my business partner at the time quit her full-time job, then we knew something, that was, because it was a very big decision. And when she left as well, we because we had started the business with heart really and just fell into it and figured it along the way. When we hit 100,000 in a year, she said, this is amazing, let's slow down. And I was like, why would we slow down? This is amazing. Let's reach more people. Let's do it bigger. Let's do it better. Let's help people more, and it was not, neither was right or wrong, but it was just a difference. It got me ready for more. You
were thinking more business minded, not hobby minded. And yes, I agree with you on that whole idea is that you can impact more people. But there's also a beautiful thing about making a healthy income, because when you have a healthy income, you can impact more people as well. Yeah. So she didn't have the same vision that you did. That's like, everyone has a different like comfort zone, and some of us have bigger ceilings to break through. But you obviously were like, no, I want Get Messy to be the destination for all people who want to be creative. So that led to a split in the business.
Yes. So, well, that was maybe the start of it, because she left, I'm thinking about timelines, she left a little bit after that, but that was kind of the beginning where it was, for me, Get Messy is like 50-50 art and business, or I don't know, maybe 51% business. But for her, it was more art. And then I think if you have the focus only on the art or majority on the art, then it becomes more difficult when you have business issues that you have to deal with. Or if your creative practice has gone down, how are you going to keep the business going? Because as much as you nurture your own creative business, your own creative practice, sometimes your inspiration's gone. Sometimes you just have nothing inside of you for creating. And then I think that's important to figure out how to keep going.
Yeah. And also sometimes the business really does require a lot from you. So you don't even have the time or the space to think about creativity, because building a business in and of itself is incredibly creative.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you have that personality. And I really want to emphasize this for the listeners, because I've had this question so many times. I want to make this into a business, but I'm afraid it's going to take over, and how much time I'm going to have to spend on the business. Will I even have time for making art? But if you're not ready to give over more than 50% of your time to the business building, you're probably going to have an expensive hobby. So you have to decide if you just want to make art for the sake of making art and not make a business, or if you are passionate also about business making, because it's going to take both sides of you to build something up, and that's where you came into this like pathway, this merging point of, okay, we have two different directions to go. Do we just stay artists that have a side hustle, or are we building a business and art then becomes our feeder into the nurturing into the bigger business? And you had one vision, she had another.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's what I'm saying, is that's okay. But then where do you go? And when you have to make that decision, you wanted to go all the way. So now you're single, right?
Well, you want everyone to be there fully hearted and fully committed, because you are determining your own destiny and you are determining your own living conditions. And so you need to, like, it goes back to what you were saying. It starts with the heart. That's where it starts. It doesn't matter all the logistics you're going to figure out, but you need to know that you're in it and that you're committed, because if you know exactly why you're doing it, and you don't need to articulate it, sometimes it's just a feeling, but you know that feeling, that's where you're going to pull your energy from, and that's how you're going to keep going. And I freaking love you, Kellee, because you just say it like it is, and I've never heard anyone else say it. It maybe feels like naughty to say, but it's so true. A creative business you can't just be creative. That's going to do nothing. That's going to be an expensive hobby. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You have to make a decision, and it's okay to decide not to be in business. So there's so many people who are like on the fence, and they have this dream idea that you paint all day and make money. But really what you do is you paint one day, and the rest of the time you work your ass off. I mean, that's really how it is during the week. In fact, I have many weeks where I don't paint at all because my priority is now the business, but that's because I'm passionate about it. I know people who can balance between the two better than I can, but you're right. It's like, it's nothing to shake a stick at, the amount of work it takes to build a business, but it's exciting. For me, it's exciting. I know it's been exciting for you, and I know you've had your ups and your downs, but like, look at what you've done, Caylee. It's amazing.
No, it feels good. It feels good. And the funny thing is, I think with business building, I like the nonsense things. I like the if someone has a problem and they want a solution, no one can find a solution. I like finding that solution. And I like figuring out the technology, and I like figuring out the very admin related tasks. I just love it. I love it.
I love the marketing. That's my favorite part, is the marketing, the brand strategy, that part. I can just like dive into it all day long. How am I going to show up? How am I going to serve? How am I going to communicate? What's going to be the next like really off the wall, out of the box, wild idea that I can have? I'm not talking about, let me just shove something in somebody's face all the time. How can we make this a collaborative, exciting thing to get the word out there? Like, to me, that's my favorite part about the business. So I turn the admin over to my team. I'm like, please don't make me answer another email or write the data down or organize please no.
But I love it, because even with you just talking about that, it makes me excited about marketing, and I hate marketing.
Well, I think there needs to be a reframe about what marketing is, So that's the first step, which I'm kind of working on, kind of getting that idea out there, especially for those who are already in business and are like, why am I not making any money, or why is this so hard? It's because they haven't really thought about that forefront part on how they connect with their customer. And that can be fun if you allow it to be. So I love, the best part about marketing is getting your community involved, which your whole business model is based off of community, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and see, that's my sneaky way of doing marketing, right? It's just getting the Get Messians to share and to do the marketing on my behalf.
And that's brilliant. That's the best marketing that you can ever have. Is it Seth Godin who talks about that a lot? To use your whatever you can. I don't know. There's so many marketing books I have piled over here. Contagious is one of them, because it's like when something is so exciting that other people want to talk about it, that's your best marketing right there. And everybody's always talking about Get Messy, because your community is very involved, and they have a community. Having a community is really important when you're an artist anyway. That's why we started all this nonsense in the first place, is because we felt alone. And I was reading over Get Messy's purpose, and that was like the last thing in your list was you don't have to be a lone wolf anymore.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's something. I'm just calling it magic. And every time I say magic, it irritates me because I would like to articulate it better. But when you mix art and community and people getting together, there's just something that happens there.
That's amazing. So you are talking to me from your brand new studio, which means that Get Messy's grown quite a bit over the last few years, and it's taken on a less of a blog spot space and more of a real foundational, I want to say like a staple in the art community. So tell us more about where you're at now. Of course, as you mentioned, you did a transition and split, and now you're solo running it, solo owning it. You have support, of course. And tell me just like how Get Messy's grown and maybe even what your vision is for it.
Well, in terms of the business side of it, I remember I set the goal that I wanted to have a better salary than my husband as an engineer. And that goal, that was like my big goal, but I need to set bigger goals because
Right.
that happened pretty quickly.
It's so funny you say that. Was my same goal. I just want to make more than my husband makes, who already has a really good salary as well.
Yeah.
Because he's been doing it for over 20 years. Of course he has a good salary now. He's been working his ass off, and he did help support me through this. But like my goal was like, if I can make more than him, then he can breathe a little more easily. I can help support him. And you're right. Like, it's like, what? That happened.
But it's like, it's supporting him, but also it's a little bit, people with practical jobs, and my husband's an engineer. It's very straightforward. He studied and then he did his honors and now he's got a job. It's like very linear, but a creative job is not linear. And so it feels really good to say, I don't know, to my dad and my mom, basically, like, look I can do the same thing. You don't have to sit in a job. He loves his job. I wouldn't, but you don't need to sit in a job that you don't like just to get society's traditional idea of success. So yeah, so that's why I liked beating him.
It's a really great point you're bringing up, is that idea that there are so many non-traditional ways. Yeah, my husband did the same thing. It was a very traditional linear job, and I know many people, that's what they're taught in school, that that's what you're supposed to do. But I love breaking that mold, and that's what you've done. And so now where's your dream now? Like, where do you want to take it?
My dream now, I don't have like a set thing. I would like for T to be a stay-at-home dad, and mainly because I would love to work more. Just know that I've got a stay-at-home dad at home.
Okay, come on. That is a really funny thing that you say, and I love it. And I just want to point out that you said you want to work more.
I know.
I love you so much for that, because I feel like I'm the only one under the planet that's like, well, it's Saturday night and everybody else is watching TV or playing video games. I guess I get to work. I'm such a weirdo when it comes to that. So I'm glad I'm not alone.
No. Yeah, we two peas in the pod there. I honestly love working, and I have to really put a lot of measures in place to stop myself.
Yeah, me too. That's cool. But I love to ask, what is your big audacious dream? So not just the regular dreams, but what's something like audacious that's almost too scary to say publicly? And I'm gonna like push you to say it. Come on.
I don't have a big future goal, but there are like little goals that are kind of less big, hairy, audacious goals and more to-do list items. I don't know. I think I need to dream bigger, but I won't get Messy branded supplies. I would.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's not a financial reason. I think that making art supplies and having manufacturing, unless you're really, really big, I don't think there's a lot of money there compared to digital, where your profit margins are very high, instead of physical items. But I'd just love to be like in take up space, I guess I'm trying to say. So there's that one. Then I've also got a dream, and I don't know how it will work because the town that I live in is very old school, but I'd love to have a creative co-working space where you can just come after work, just book a table for an hour and just use my supplies, make art.
Well, it
So
seems like your space is big enough you could do that now.
it is. It is. It's a very big space. There's like there are more rooms. It just keeps going. But I need to bring the people. I need to figure it out. I'm figuring it out. Yeah.
I love that. How far away are you from like the nearest big city? Somewhere someone could fly. Let's make it that clear because I'm like thinking, how do I get to Germany this year?
We'll be having something in May.
You are.
A small something, but a something. Come in May.
Okay.
I've got the chairs.
I'll bring my markers. This is what I've been obsessed
Oh, I
with.
love that you just pick them up and they're immediately your colors.
Yeah,
Like
well,
those are so your colors.
of course they are.
Love it.
Of course they are. Yeah, that's amazing. Like I think that you know what 2020 was hard and into 2021 was so challenging to be shut down and locked down that I know we're craving community and we're craving doing things in person and together. And so being able to facilitate that in really genuine ways is going to make a huge difference moving forward. I think that's a more of a generous dream than it is, a personal dream because it's not easy facilitating getting together in person. And it's not even really that financially lucrative in any way, shape, or form. It's just for the sake of having people together and being able to connect.
Yeah, I think I'm fine at the moment with financial goals. I've got a specific one for this year, but it is more of that what can I call like a digging into the well and refilling my well kind of thing. I want to know what your big goal is.
Well, I've made it public right here on the podcast that I'd like to generate $1 million in a year.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say it. And I think it's possible, especially as I continue to grow and connect with more people. And I have Color Crush Creative, and now I have Made Remarkable. And I have a small little team to help support me. It might not happen this year. In fact, it's most likely not going to happen this year. Well, I shouldn't say that because I do believe that the way you think and what you say comes back around. So I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm comfortable with whatever turns out this year. But I'm more like you. Like if I can grow it bigger, that means I can connect with more people and serve more people. And I like the idea of women being able to build creative businesses and make them financially lucrative. Why not? I know that when I make more money, I'm able to not just support my family, but like then I can support my team. I have people who work for me now, my close friend now, an assistant who's making more now than she ever used to. And I love that I can provide income for other people's families to thrive. I mean, like that's exciting to me. I don't know. So yeah, that's my big financial audacious dream. I have a list because I turned 50 at the end of this year, and I've been checking it off a little bit slowly but surely, but there's still a few things. I really admire your ability to continue to work on yourself. And I think about that often, like especially when you post your vision boards and your goal setting and how you've worked with coaches and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like I've made some personal growth, but what I really need is more healthy mindset and those boundaries about around the business because I do love to work so much, but I still need to exercise, sleep better. I make time for family, but I don't make time for me. So I think that would probably be my priority this year. So, I mean, in all honesty, how do you let's have a little bit of a discussion about that on that point of view of how you've gone about setting that up for yourself and being aware and like, I know it's not always perfect every year, but I'd love to hear more about how you do that.
Yeah, I've got my vision board right next to me. Wait, let me take it off the wall. So this is a vision board, and it's a good summary, and I kind of just leave it in the background. I'm not actively working on it or anything like that. I just leave it in the background, and then the universe does its thing. And I think that it's the same as your big goal, right? What we say and what we put out there influences how it comes back. Again, it's a little bit woo, like all these things are a little bit woo, but they work.
Yeah.
And so 1 million is also a big goal for me. And yeah, the other day said, if Get Messy gets 1 million. And I was like, no, when Get Messy gets 1 million in a year. I don't know. I think encouraging it and acting like these things are here is a good way to do it. And I'm very process driven because I can't really impact the end result. That the end result is going to be whatever it's going to be, but I can impact all the tiny little bits that go into that end result. So if I'm looking at my vision board, right, I would like to be strong. Okay. That's one of my big goals for this year. Last year, my body was not strong. It was in recovery. Previous year, I was strong. And so it's such a vague thing. So I know for me, being strong means going into the gym, lifting heavy weights. It makes me feel good. I've never been someone who can, like, I'm not good at running, and I'm not good at being scared into a goal. So if I know that I can just focus on the thing in the middle, then that's good for me. Same with my art, same with my business. If I know that I'm focusing on meeting the Messians where they're at, helping them in their creative practice, then I know that by itself, without stressing too much, Get Messy is going to grow. Like, people are going to stay longer, people are going to talk about it better, more people are going to come in. And so that's my approach to goals. My approach to looking after myself, when I had my son, which is 5 years ago, I completely lost myself. I completely lost myself as a human, as an artist, and I'm being dramatic, but I think that most people go through that when they become parents. You are forced to reevaluate your life. I mean, you can't ignore it, but for the most part, you're forced to just focus on one human. That's not you, right? And I think in business, we're forced to focus on other humans. We're forced to focus on our members, our clients, our customers. And because of that, my business and the business part of me, I had to kind of take a breather. I had to realize that I couldn't work all the time, because I had to, just do basic things like shower and breastfeed and ridiculously time-consuming things. And so that was a very hard lesson for me to learn. But the effects of that have continued throughout these 5 years. I think I've been much more gentle on myself and worked a lot less than I would have liked to, because of being at the whims of someone else. And so that's a hot, as if you're looking for tips on how to do it.
I mean, I just like your personal philosophy around it. It's been really I remember specifically, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, you showed how you had made a vision board and you used, images that were either cut out or digital. And by the end of the year, your year literally looked like your vision board, and you were able to replace all those images with actually accomplishing that. And you've got a very good point there. We can like vision it, we can imagine it, we can put the words and the emotions out into the universe, as in, this is my dream, this is what I want to accomplish. But you do have to take action. You have to have something. Like, my whole opinion on manifesting is you actually have to take the actions towards it happening. Because like you said, if you want to be strong, you actually have to go and lift the weights to be strong. But still, there is something magical about putting the vision out into this world, because it reminds you what you want to embody. So I just love that and admired how you've done that year after year. I'm always like, wow, okay, so I need to like actually plan this out a little bit better for myself and figure out what those small tangible actions are. But also, you've turned to coaches to help you. And I think that's just something that I'm more curious about. I've hired coaches for business, and I have had a therapist in the past, because I do believe everyone probably needs therapy. But I've never had a life coach. And I think that there's something kind of magical about that helped you with some of the hurdles you were having as a young mother, and that part of feeling lost. I did it 3 times. So I very much know about the feeling lost, which is almost why running my own business feels so good to me, because it's something that I have for myself. And I love my kids, and I've loved when they were young and raising them and all of that. But you're right, it is like all encompassing. Like, I would stay up a little later at night than I should have, just so that I could like exist as a human without a child next to me. And my mom would always be like, why are you not going to bed sooner? Like, if she was visiting, and I'm like, can I just have 20 minutes to be just Kellee?
Oh yeah, I feel you.
So I understand that entire process of coming back to self, and how a business in a lot of ways feeds the soul of your personal accomplishment, and something that's not so immersive as it is immersive in a different way from raising a child, for sure.
And it's nice because, I mean, we don't need reasons to take time for ourselves, but having a business and continuing running that business is a very objective reason to be with yourself and all of that. And I think that as creative people, we also really need that time to connect with ourselves and to draw from ourselves. My coach, I love her. I love her. She was meant to be for a short time, and she's still my coach now. When we started 20, a long time ago. I don't know. I'm not good with timelines, but she was good. So she didn't start out as a business coach. She started out as a health coach because I'd been neglecting myself. And I call it living out of alignment, right? When you know what's true, you know what your values are, you know what you believe, but for some reason your actions are not the same. And whether your actions are not the same because you're tired, because you haven't slept, or because you're too busy, because you're burnt out, there's like a million reasons that are not always because you're a dick. I needed someone to help me prioritize that. And so that's what she did. And she helps me talk through when I'm a bit too close to the thing, like helps me step back a little bit. And what's nice about running your own business is that therapy and life coaching and all of that doesn't need to be about your business to help your business.
Right.
It's crazy.
I mean, I think we very much underestimate how important that kind of support is. Like, I didn't turn to getting support for my business or even myself for so many years. And I know maybe it's a little cliche to say is my business grew when I got a coach, but you know what? There's so much truth in that. Like, because you have something outside, and when you pay for that, you're more invested in that. It's different than when you're just like I do like getting together with my business friends because they have amazing ideas too. But this is somebody you're paying for to just take care of you and help you improve yourself. But I haven't tried a life coach yet. And I think that might need to be the next thing on my list because I mean, that whole living in alignment, and you explained it so perfectly. Alignment means you know what your values are, you know what the truth is, and you know what you need, and still you're not doing it. And that's me quite often. Like, some things I'm getting better at, like making healthier meals and making sure that I'm putting aside time to really be present for my husband and sometimes my kids, because they're grown boys and they don't really have any interest in mom. But to nurture the relationship with my husband has been really important to me. But I haven't been nurturing the relationship with myself. I haven't been exercising. I'll eat healthy all day and then binge on the junk at night, because I'm tired. I don't sleep well. And I absolutely believe in the core of me how important meditation and spirituality is. And yet I put a wall up to it. There's still a barrier. I will like start to do it. And then there's a part of me that pulls away again. And I've had friends ask, like, what is it? And I'm like, well, it's not that it's boring. It's not that it's hard. It's that it's scary to get that connected with yourself.
Oh, it is scary.
It is scary. And it happens for me immediately when I start doing it. I get answers that sometimes I don't even want. I'm like, damn it, I didn't want to know that that's what I do. But, when you open up your heart and your spirit completely, you get answers. And so here, this conversation is resolving in me that I can't make excuses to not meditate anymore. When I know that when I do it, I get the answers that I need to live a better, healthier life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's that I am out of alignment is what I'm basically saying. I'm out of alignment.
Yeah. It's amazing. A life coach, when you find the right one. So this is nice, but not quite there. And then I met my one and I was like, done. Like, we are done. And so my life coach is soft. She's very soft. And I always thought I needed tough love. I thought I just needed to hear it, like, for the truth. I just need to be harder on myself, and that's how I'm going to move forward. And apparently I needed softness and gentleness and being told it's okay and just being more okay with all the unknowns and all of that. And so she's very good at that. And she's also very good when I go to and I'm having a tough time and I'm saying, I don't know why I'm having a tough time. She asks me, are you meditating? How's your meditation practice? Have you been in your art journal lately? And they're always like, no, but I don't know why. And you know why. It's crazy. You always know why if you just pause and think about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's so amazing. I love it. Well, if you had any advice for those who are thinking about or are already in business and they want to make their business something remarkable, that is the name of the podcast, Made Remarkable. And I really do believe that we can do remarkable things through our flaws, through our trials and tribulations and all the ups and downs of life. We can still do remarkable things, be remarkable just the way we are. But when we're trying to make this business happen, what would you say is some advice that you want to give the listeners right now?
I'm going to steal your advice. I think I'm going to do that from now on and just say, like, the business specifics don't matter as much as the heart. Get really clear on the heart. That's so important. And the other thing that I would say is to be okay with the failures. Get really, really good at failing a million times. And even though I'm pretty well versed in failure now, a failure comes and I'm like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. And then I have to remind myself, this is fine, this is good, we'll get through this, it's okay, this is part of it. And know that I think successful people are not, I read this somewhere, these are not my words, but successful people are not good at succeeding, they're just very good at failing.
Yes, and then getting back up and learning from it, right?
Continuing, that's the only thing.
Because failures teach us more than succeeding ever will teach us.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, where can everyone find you? Get Messy, obviously. Get Messy. Is it Get Messy Art?
Art.com.
Art.com, and on Instagram?
Get Messy Art Journal. I'm Caylee Gray. My website's cayleegray.com.
I love following you. Get Messy is amazing because I always find a lot of inspiration from your community. You drop the gems on your Instagram account and I love it. So everyone go and follow Caylee and Get Messy if you're ready for, if you're listening and you're in your creative part of your life, just learning and growing. It's a good place to go to, get over perfectionism and just have fun doing it for the purpose of doing it, right?
Oh yeah, so good.
Thank you so much, Caylee. I am so glad that we finally got to chat and catch up. Yeah. So, alrighty. Thanks. Bye, everybody.